Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Monday. This is Devils After Dark, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios inside the bunker in an undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. And going to the highest point, broadcasting all over the world on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. It's Short Sky from Game Day Live, the Sunday edition. Let's Go Devils podcast, sometimes the Woo Report, and on Hockey on Tap. Short Sky, Devils losing
Sammy
in a shootout, 4-3 to the Vancouver Canucks. I don't want any moral victories here, but a better performance by Jacob Markstrom overall. And I think he's, I don't know, he slammed his stick, broke his stick at the end there. Can you fault him? I thought he hung in there as best as he could, and it was much better performance than the previous game that he played.
I am of much more of a glowing opinion of the game that he played than I think you are, Sam. I think he was the reason why the Devils were in this game for a good chunk of it. I think your first two goals were defensive-minded mistakes. Like, why the hell is a player getting a clean point off in the shot like that? Why? And then that tying goal, the third, why are there three white jerseys converging on Markstrom with red jerseys on the outside, three white jerseys on the crease? There was also a bit of a deflection there. There were a couple times, too, watching the game, and I don't know if maybe I only noticed it when it happened, but I feel like I know, and I was rewatching some of the third period before we came live. For some reason, defensively in front of our goaltenders, and tonight it was Markstrom, there is Markstrom, opposing player, Devils defenseman. The defenseman should be in between the opposing player and the net. But instead, we're letting those defensive player, those offensive opposing players, to be between the defenseman and Markstrom. And I caught this on Saturday night too. We're letting defensive players, their sticks are loose in front of the net, and they're beating us to any rebounds that are available. And it's, as the goaltender, it's frustrating as hell. Markstrom played extremely well tonight. He looked pissed coming off the ice on Thursday, thinking, what do I have to do to win this game? He got to a shootout today. He was within 55 seconds of a win, his first win since coming back. And there's a defensive blunder to allow that third goal to be scored. And he's pissed, and I am pissed as well, because I know exactly what it feels to be in his position. He should be pissed. He should be reading a riot act to his defensive players in front of him. He should be pissed. And he wants no more excuses. He wants no more apologies from his teammates. He wants a damn win. And you know what? He needs to get that damn win, because he did all he could tonight. Vancouver had 28 shots on goal, and he stopped. He stopped enough to get him to overtime. That third one should never have happened. Our defensive game is lax. And we talked about it last night. Well, maybe it was because the offensive players weren't getting enough. Our defensive game tonight looked terrible. It was defensive structure that caused us this loss tonight.
Question, Shorts.
Yep.
I see what you're saying. Sometimes I wonder, it even goes back to the Lindy Ruff era, where it's like, are they playing defensively like that by design, by just letting the offensive player just literally sit in front of Markstrom? Like, shouldn't you get under his skin and get him out of that crease? Like, what's your thinking on that?
I think they're not set up properly defensively. I don't want an opposing player right there in front of me, because if there's a rebound, whose stick is there first? It's the opposing player.
And not tying them up. I mean, that's how
your defenseman should be there tying them up. And that's a problem. And I'm getting pissed off thinking about it, because I know what it's like to be in that position. And it absolutely sucks. And that's the position Markstrom is in.
I think, see, when the Devils played well in the beginning of the season, they were doing all the little things right. And somehow it has all come apart. I mean, Markstrom, let's put it this way. I mean, the Vancouver Canucks physically went hard to the net, as they should. But, the Devils defensively, I mean, look, there were some bad penalties throughout the game. That Kovacevic, had to serve. Brett Pesce had a blunder there as well. So defensively, the Devils weren't there in the third period, and this is the second third period in a row. With Markstrom in net, that the Devils just do not give him the support.
No.
Only this time around, Markstrom played out of his mind this game.
Yeah.
Markstrom
stopped sure goals. Markstrom stopped sure goals tonight. And I even noticed it in the overtime period. I forget who had the opportunity for Vancouver, but we're letting offensive forwards and offensive players get just beyond our defensive player and getting clear opportunities on net. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I think it happened one other time in regular play as well.
Yeah.
The defensive structure is just shot.
Yeah.
The defensive structure is shot. And it's something that I know I talked about last night. And I will say that, I will defend the goalies probably more often than anyone else on the program. But holy crap, like that third goal, why are there 3 white jerseys converging on Markstrom and the red jerseys are on the outside? Like, why? Like, why? And I know the Insane Pollock reminded me that, it was deflected, it hit the post, and it kind of bounced back. But in that case, the stick should be tied up in front by your defensive player. Your defenseman should be tying the stick up in front. Now, granted, I understand that it's 6-on-5 and they've got an extra attacker on, in front of that crease. But the center should be there. The 2 defensemen should be there. Like, sticks should be tied up. Sticks are not getting tied up. Their players, whoever we're playing, the opposing player seems to get to those bounces first. No one is tying up those offensive players in front of the crease. And Markstrom has every right to be pissed off. And this is not on him. Tonight's game is absolutely not on Markstrom. Because the passes shouldn't get through to the slot like they did in those 2 first goals. And can you say that, Markstrom should be making that save? Yeah, but when there's 3 of your players surrounding one of their players in the slot, the pass shouldn't get through or the shot shouldn't get through. Either one. But for some reason, both those times, the player gets a clean shot from in close. Shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't happen.
Yeah. And Devils lose again. And I'll tell you, they got to shore it up defensively.
Mm-hmm.
I think
they have to.
And
we're screwed.
Notice what happened when Hollis scored. You know what happened?
Oh, the Canucks lost it. And they went after everyone, and it was over a clip to the back of the leg of another player. Yeah, they were probably pissed because I forget who it was that landed on Demko, but they responded.
Yeah,
the Devils should have done that after the tying goal.
And notice how that kind of, and I'm going back to that play because Devils at that point had a 3-2 lead.
Yeah,
but you see what teams do. When they're down, they try to create some noise, some distraction, and try their best to get back that momentum. And credit the Vancouver Canucks for stirring it up because then they were able to get the equalizer.
Yeah.
And then at that point, it was anybody's game. The Devils had a chance in the overtime.
Oh, he should have shot high.
Yeah,
should have shot high, but that was a good. If you noticed, I forget who the trailing player was. Made a good small defensive play to screw Cotter up just enough to where he didn't get the shot he wanted.
I'll tell you what. It happened so fast, I didn't even notice that. That was a fast play. You know, I mean, granted, I'm watching the game on my phone because it's on ESPN Plus today. So, but yeah, I mean, I didn't notice that. I'll have to go to the replay shorts, but
there's a small little defensive play, and it caused Cotter to be just screwed up just enough to not get the shot off he wanted. And Serve, I'm looking at you in the chat, and I like you, Serve. We got a lot in common, but you can't blame Markstrom for this one, even in the shootout, because Markstrom, he can make the saves that he's going to make. He had to make the move that he did, but Timo Meier bobbled the puck coming out of that shootout, and I don't know if Luke Hughes was the best option to throw out into a shootout. We have other forwards that can do it. I understand the mindset, maybe like, hey, throw it, because everyone wants to see the Hughes. Like Quinn Hughes didn't even take a shot. You can't blame Markstrom for that one. And Timo Meier should have lifted that. A little lift of the puck, and it goes in over his pad. If we're going to be blaming Markstrom for letting one in, why didn't Timo Meier lift the puck there on his attempt when he went wide and he had Demko splayed out?
I think he obviously lost control of the puck right from the get-go. And
right
I think
he recovered. Not good enough, though.
But for whatever reason, he rushed it. He still had a little time.
Mm-hmm.
He still had a little time there. So.
Yeah. And he got Demko splayed out, and he just had to put it over his pad, and he couldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I can't. There's no way you put this game on Markstrom. Like a shootout is such a 50-50 battle, and it's tough, and that's why a lot of people don't like the shootout, because it's bringing a team game down to an individual battle.
Yeah.
No, Max, the sign fell, and I just didn't feel like putting it back up. But it was almost good enough today. But it was just the defensive play was not good enough today. And that's really where this all goes. And it's, Markstrom did all he could to steal this game for the Devils. He made really big saves, and I thought this was Markstrom's best game since coming back. And this is another third period meltdown. It's Sam. It's kind of bringing back shades. I forget what season it was, but it was the season that Snyder was in net, so it was still back in like the 2000 teens, where the last 5 minutes of every single game wound up just being when we would lose it. This has almost got that feeling of that of that season right now, because it seems to be, the third period is not good for us. I mean, overall, the game against Ottawa on Saturday night was just bad start to finish. But the third period against on Thursday against the Flames, the third period against the Golden Knights, like, holy crap. Third period tonight. I mean, there's no way that the Devils should be allowing a team goal 40-some seconds after going up. Like that second goal for Vancouver, that's why are you allowing that to happen? Woo! Thank you, Mark Schwab. Let's see. We would sit in a wild card spot like in the West, like the Blues, and we lost to the desperate Canucks. Suter is a first-line center. Peterson's out. JT Miller gone. Demko's first game. Demko played well, but they were making mention. I was watching towards the end. Demko was getting up a little bit slow, so he's a little bit gingerly there. But Demko has really solid defense in front of him. It's a big difference when your team is playing well defensively and it's not. And yeah, the goalie should steal the game or two, but if you're getting no help, Sam, you know as well as I do. I've played the position of goalie for my entire life. I'm now 43 years old. I've played goalie for more in my life than I haven't. When you don't get that defensive support, you can't steal anything. You can play all you want, but if your defense is going to let guys creep in behind them, you can only do so much. If the other team's going to get second, third, fourth chances, yeah, could you have gotten the rebound? Should you gotten a rebound? Yeah, then you can start having that conversation. But if your defense isn't there to help you gather that rebound, what the hell are you going to do?
Yeah. Now remember, Shorts, I played goalie in other sports as well. I know exactly what you're talking about. The
I know.
I
I always forget that you are more insane than me because you played goalie in lacrosse. I think that's more nuts than me.
Without a cup and a jockstrap too for some games. Because somebody gave me this idea.
I've done that accidentally. It's not. It's bad.
No, it's true. You could ask anybody on my high school team. Because the reasoning behind it, it's like not wearing a seatbelt while driving. I wouldn't suggest that. It's like it just makes you a better driver because because if you screw up,
you did that like by your own volition. Like you decided, like I'm not going to wear a cup today.
You know what? Somebody taught me that, and it's stupidly I was like, there may be something to it because I've always believed in the seatbelt rule that if you don't wear a seatbelt, suddenly your driving is a lot more. I mean, but then again, you can't control other people. Like somebody crashes into you. But
yeah,
again, I remember the olden days. When you're sitting in the back of the station wagon, like
oh yeah,
that was a normal thing, or back of a pickup truck. If you had a friend's dad that had one, nobody
Yep.
wore seatbelts back then.
No,
that was the olden days.
The seatbelt in those cases was whoever was driving going like this.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was your seatbelt.
Oh, yeah. Or sit on your mom's lap, and there's like 8 people piled in the 5-seater. Anyway, look, I'm happy about Markstrom actually
So am I.
playing decently. You're playing Chicago on Wednesday. You're going, to the Midwest where Vinny Parisi will be, and that's a game you better win, and better win
but it's a trap game
decisively.
at the same time.
Who do you play? Do you play Allen? Do you play Markstrom? I don't know, but do you remember how Allen played the last game
Against Ottawa, he didn't play too terribly. It was really the 2 goals that were scored at the far end from where we were sitting were really awkward goals, really off angle bad goals. But again, because there were sticks open in front of the net.
Mm-hmm.
They really got to pick that up.
Yeah.
Our offense was much better tonight. I will say this: the positive aside from Markstrom is our offense looked much better tonight. We were generating offense. We were really playing well. There was a stretch. I think it was in the second. There was a stretch in the second where we were playing really, really well. Like as soon as we started scoring goals, we were moving, we were skating, we were passing. We looked really good. We looked like the Devils, the pre-Christmas Devils, not the post-Christmas Devils. But even this just came to mind too. Like even before Christmas, we were talking constantly about like, are we going to play a full 60? Like we're playing bits and pieces of games again. We're not playing a full 60 minutes, and we got to get back to that. It's no good. I see a couple of people kind of trying to throw this blame on Keefe. I think Keefe got them ready for this game today.
I don't
feel
think
like the
it's
Devils
Keefe.
played well.
I put it on the players because Keefe has been calling them out.
Yeah, he called out Kovacevic,
Yeah.
and Kovacevic had a phenomenal defensive play today. In the second period, I think it was. Phenomenal defensive play. And he saved a sure goal. But for some reason, we talked about this Sunday or last night. You mentioned it again, with what this team has been doing the last, was it 4 years, 3.5 that we had Ruff at the helm, and now Keefe is trying to undo that. And I understand we brought new players in, but the players that are still here, they're still undoing all those old, what we've been doing for the last 4 years, and it's I don't know, it's frustrating, Sam, because seeing Markstrom break his stick immediately without thought, that's not him saying, "Oh, damn it," and then breaking his stick. That was an immediate reaction. He wants a win so bad. He is so pissed off, and he wants to win so much. And the team is failing him. The team's failing him.
And that's what the Devils' mindset should be, is like Markstrom. Be pissed.
I know.
Show that emotion. But also be have composure in the heat of the battle as well, which Markstrom did today. I know this is going to sound like a moral victory here. This is what I'm seeing, Shorts. I rather have all of this happen now than in the playoffs. At the same time, you've got to build from this to the next game by game, because a lot of teams that have had success in the playoffs and win Stanley Cups, a lot of them had a bad February and March.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow in the end of March into April, somehow it starts to come together. And I'm hoping that Markstrom's game tonight, but it wasn't a complete game from the Devils, but Markstrom's game tonight will elevate the team a couple steps to where they need to be.
It should.
It should.
Hopefully it does, and hopefully it will. Because you can play an insane game and lose a game like tonight as a goaltender and be absolutely furious, even though someone from the outside is going to be like, "Yo, man, you played great. You played great." Yeah, but did we win? No. Then I didn't play great enough. That's the mindset he's going to have, and the team has to elevate themselves to Markstrom's level, because what we saw tonight is pre-injury Markstrom.
And also, just realize there are some veterans on this team, specifically Markstrom. Their time is running out on their career. They only have a couple years, realistically, because they're getting older.
Yeah.
And time is of essence. Whereas there's some other players on the team that, are a lot younger. They don't have that pressure. And, and that's what I kind of felt when he broke his stick, where he's like, "Stop wasting my time here," and
that's a good point.
And it was very symbolic of, what's lacking in this team is that emotion, that desperation. I think Timo Meyer's played phenomenal in the last 12 games. I think that Jesper Bratt has elevated his game.
Yep.
Remember
his goal in the shootout. Holy hell. That was nasty.
Remember how the Devils are doing it. They're doing it without Jack Hughes, Dougie Hamilton, Siegenthaler. That's basically taking $20 million off of your payroll. And what do you have, in terms of value? I'm not making excuses, because I've always said that this team has enough to get in the playoffs, and if they can come together and play as a team and play well defensively, they have a shot to steal a round or two. So, don't knock this team. At the same time, they got to win Wednesday. If you drop Wednesday, it's that crossroads. The momentum will swing. If you lose Wednesday, you got to beat the Blackhawks on Wednesday.
You have to. It's no question. You absolutely have to.
And there should be urgency there.
There has to be
urgency there.
Every game has to be looked at like a game 7.
Yeah.
Going forward. Kovacevic wasn't wrong when he said that every game is like a playoff game going forward. Can you fault Keefe for kind of shooting from the hip? And probably, we talked about this a little bit for my little jump on the Hockey on Tap tonight. We don't know if Keefe was pissed at Kovacevic from earlier that night in the game. Did Kovacevic say something on the bench? Did the two of them have words after the game? Did the two of them have words in between periods? We don't know. Keefe shot from the hip, said Kovacevic has to start playing better. I think Kovacevic played better, but not great tonight. He took too many penalties for my liking, and those two high sticking penalties were kind of they were
careless.
Careless with your stick. Thank you. I couldn't find the right word. He was careless with his stick, and you can't do that. And we're lucky that Vancouver couldn't convert on their power play. They converted when they were up 6-on-5, but they didn't convert when they were up 5-on-4. So we're lucky there. I think Covey's penalty in that scrum after the Holla goal, all right, I'll take that. That's jumping in for your teammates. That's the type of penalty someone like him should be taking.
That's a good investment penalty. That's what I would say.
Not the careless high sticking stuff.
Yeah. The unnecessary stuff. There are times where you have to take a penalty.
Yes, that's one of them.
As what Ty Domi would say, I'm going to take a penalty on you.
Yeah.
It's
true. It's
true. I think that's what he said to. I think that's what he said to Niedermeyer before he cheap shot him. That vicious elbow, if you remember.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. It's, I'm looking ahead to Wednesday here. Chicago beat Philly on Sunday, but then their games since then: St. Louis loss, Kings loss, Seattle loss, Vancouver loss. San Jose, loss. Chicago, loss. Nashville, overtime loss. They beat Utah. Whenever I say Utah, I want to say Utica. They lost to Ottawa. They beat the Kings, and they beat Anaheim. I don't like how their schedule and their history in the last 3 weeks looks going into Wednesday. I don't. I really don't. This is one of those things where Sheldon Keefe should tell these players, listen, if you lose in Chicago on Wednesday, you're walking to Winnipeg. And you better dress warm if you're wanting to lose. Because if you have to walk, it's going to be freaking cold. Yes, Max, I would completely agree that it's defensive misassignments. And it's just there's bad defensive execution, I think, all in front of the net specifically.
Sometimes I think the D guys are just standing there watching the action. Like, they're not taking action. Sometimes they're just standing around.
There is, it's this just, again, let's go back to the tying goal. Puck comes in. Was it deflected? Yes, but it hits the post off of the deflection because Markstrom would have made that save had that deflection not happened. But then the first player in on Markstrom is wearing a white jersey. Okay, they're 6-on-5, so there's an extra player on the ice. There were 3 white jerseys before there was a red jersey in there. I can't with that. It's like, it's so frustrating, and my frustration comes because I've been in that position. Like, where is my help here? And I was wrong. It was like 40 some seconds left, and I'm rewatching that last goal now, and there's 1 player, 2 players, and immediately, like, we allowed 1 white jersey in front of Markstrom with nobody else there, and another white jersey to his blocker side. wide open. And boom, there's 3 white jerseys right in on that puck and shielding out Devils jerseys. It's crap.
Yeah.
The defensive play is crap. And to add insult to injury, what's his name's foot got frickin'... I mean, if that player's not wide open in front, the deflection may not happen. If the stick is tied up, that deflection doesn't happen, Sam. Tie up the frickin' sticks.
Yeah, you know what my old coach used to say? God gave you the gift of arms and legs. Use it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just standing around and doing nothing.
So I'm rewatching the goal because Service is questioning Markstrom's positioning, and I'm rewatching it, trying to get a feel for what his positioning is. So you've got, where's that shot come from? Right from the point. It comes from the point. I think Markstrom's positioning is okay on the initial shot. It's the deflection in front that screws him up. That deflection puts it past him to his glove side. From behind. Yeah, it's. I don't know. It's the defensive play's got to because the defensive play's got to get better. Otherwise, we're not going very far.
Yeah. Well, Shorts, we're going to do this again on Wednesday. Game Day Live,
Yeah.
Devils After Dark. Hopefully a better result.
What's the definition of insanity, Sam? Doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result.
You know, want to know something?
What?
The Devils had something good going there with Mrs. Fields, but this defense screwed it up for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Oh, by the way, you know, at the game today, not the game, but like at American Whiskey,
Mm-hmm.
you know how sometimes people come up to you and they recognize you from the podcast?
Yeah.
Well, tonight, I'm walking around, be like, hey, come here. I know you. Thinking, okay, you listen to the podcast. You're the cookie. You're the cookie. Got that a few times tonight. You're the cookie guy. I was like.
So, all right. So I just want to point this out to Serve before we go. I'm watching this over and over and over again because Markstrom had no idea where that puck was, and your instinct is to turn around to try to cover the back. Why Dylan does not do something more to back him up is beyond me. Like, that's just the deflection. Markstrom was going to get that initial puck. He didn't know where it was because it bounced off the post, and not for nothing when that puck bounces off the post, it can go anywhere. And Brendan Dillon could have done more. It's a split second. I don't know if I would have been able to make a decision that quickly in that moment as a defensive player, but it's in that position where your instinct is, let me cover the goal line. And if your defensive players aren't helping you out, telling you where the puck is, or to help get behind you and back you up, it's tough. So, sorry, Sam, I couldn't let that go.
Oh, Mark's asking 220 pounds cookie? Question mark. No. Higher.
It's a big cookie. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I'm just big boned. I've always said that for many years. I'm just big boned. Not my fault.
Yep. You shopped in the husky section of Sears.
Roebuck. I remember Roebuck jeans. Anyway, that's another story for another day. All right, I'm going to hit the button, Shorts. We're getting out of here. Well, thank you for filling in for Scotty, sacrificing your Game Day Live.
Hey, this is what you do when you care about the team, Sam.
Oh, I know. I remember telling you, I don't want to do this.
beefalytics cookie. Mark Schwab just said you're a beefalytics cookie. I love it, Mark. I love it, Mark. Oh, that's the best. And Mark, once again, thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, and oh my goodness, he would say Wookie. Some Wookiees. Anyway. I'll talk to you later.
Later.
Till next time, let's go Devils.